On one side of the border, neon cities, global commerce, and bustling streets. On the other side, a country sealed off from the outside world, ruled by one of the most secretive and repressive regimes on the planet. For decades, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or in other words, North Korea, has been synonymous with mystery, propaganda, and danger. Yet every year, up until recently, a small number of Western tourists were allowed to carefully get a glimpse of what's inside the country. No freedom of movement, no uncensored information, but a once-in-a-lifetime chance to see a place that most will never get the chance to visit. One of those tourists was Otto Warmbier. At 21, he was a bright, ambitious American college student from Ohio, an economics major and a National Merit Scholar. Like many young travellers, he sought adventure, something to tell stories about for the rest of his life. In December 2015, he booked what he thought would be an unusual holiday trip. 5 days in the Hermit Kingdom over New Year's Eve. Friends thought it would be bold but harmless. The tour company promised safety and control. And Otto had every reason to believe. He'd been back on campus within a week, with photos and anecdotes that no one else could match. Instead, within hours of his scheduled departure from Pyongyang, his passport was confiscated, his freedom stripped away, and he became a bargaining chip in an international standoff. What began as an adventurous detour turned into a nightmare that would shake his family, captivate the world's media, and ultimately cost him his life. Welcome back to Nightmare Situations. If this story interests you and you would like to see more, then remember to like, share and subscribe. This is the story of Otto Warmbier, the American student who entered North Korea and never came back. Otto Frederick Warmbier was born December 12, 1994, in Cincinnati, Ohio. His father Fred owned a small business, and his mother Cindy was active in the community. Otto was the eldest of 3 children, a National Merit Scholar, class president at his high school, and a varsity soccer player. In 2013, Otto began studying economics at the University of Virginia. His friends remembered him as charming, thoughtful, and adventurous. The kind of person who organised trips abroad and pushed himself beyond his comfort zone. By his junior year, he had already studied in Cuba and planned internships in finance. That curiosity set the stage for a trip that would change everything. In late 2015, Otto booked a 5-day New Year's tour of North Korea through Young Pioneers Tours, a China-based company specialising in trips to destinations your mother wants you to stay away from. For around $1,200, tourists were promised a glimpse of Pyongyang's grand monuments, the DMZ, and even New Year's Eve celebrations at Kim-Sung Square. Although US officials had long warned against travel to North Korea, hundreds of Westerners visited under strict supervision each year. Every movement is choreographed, every hotel room potentially monitored. But the tours also project a sense of normalcy, stage shows, clean streets, and friendly guides. Many visitors leave with stories of odd but harmless propaganda. Otto expected the same. On January 1st, 2016, Otto and his group celebrated New Year's Eve in Pyongyang. By all accounts, the festivities were surreal but uneventful. But what followed is what would change his life forever. In the early hours of January 2nd, just hours before the group's flight out, North Korean authorities detained Otto at the airport. Officials accused him of trying to steal propaganda banner from a staff-only corridor at the hotel. state media later aired grainy footage of a man, allegedly Otto, removing the poster. Whether this was a prank, a dare, or all set up is still debated. But what is clear is that the North Korean regime seized on it as its pretext for punishment. 6 weeks after his arrest, Otto appeared before the Supreme Court of North Korea. Cameras captured him sobbing as he begged for forgiveness.
On the early morning of January 1st, 2016, I committed my crime of taking out the important political slogan from the staff-only area of the Angakdo International Hotel, aimed at harming the work ethic and the motivation of the Korean people. I understand the severity of my crime, and I have no idea what sort of penalty I may face. But I am begging to the Korean people and government for my forgiveness, and I am praying to the heavens so that I may be returned home to my family. I have been very impressed by the Korean government's humanitarian treatment of severe criminals like myself.
Korea, for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life.
But analysts believe this was a coerced confession, a ritualised display for propaganda purposes. The court sentenced him to 15 years of hard labour for hostile acts against the state. Under North Korean law, foreigners are often pawns in diplomatic disputes. Otto's arrest came at a time of heightened tensions. North Korea just conducted nuclear tests, and relations with US were at an all-time low. For Otto's parents back in Ohio, the nightmare was only just beginning. For 17 months, they received almost no information about their son's condition. North Korea revealed nothing about where Otto was held or how he was treated. Defectors have described brutal conditions in labour camps, forced work, malnutrition, and psychological abuse, but no one knows for sure what Otto endured. Behind the scenes, Swedish diplomats who represented US interests in North Korea tried to check on him. The Warmbiers pleaded with the US government to act, but Pyongyang refused visits. Months stretched into more than a year. Then, on June 12, 2017, North Korea abruptly announced that it would release Otto on humanitarian grounds. But when the US State Department's special envoy arrived, they found Otto comatose. Doctors in Cincinnati described catastrophic brain injury from prolonged oxygen deprivation. His muscles had wasted away and he was non-responsive. North Korea claimed that he had a reaction to a sleeping pill that he was given, and that led to his coma. But American physicians found no evidence of this. 6 days after returning home, on June 19, 2017, Otto Warmbier sadly passed away. He was 22. The Warmbier family released a statement. "Our son has completed his journey home. Surrounded by his family, Otto died today." The story dominated international headlines. US politicians across the spectrum condemned North Korea's actions. President Trump called Otto's death a disgrace. The State Department issued a travel ban to North Korea for all American passport holders soon after. In 2018, Otto's parents sued North Korea in the US federal court, accusing the regime of torture and murder. The court awarded them over $500 million in damages. This was largely symbolic, but a formal recognition of wrongdoing. To this day, they haven't received the money. Fred and Cindy Warmbier became advocates for human rights and travel safety. They warned other families not to underestimate the risks of authoritarian states. Their advocacy contributed and continues to sanction a raised awareness of North Korea's abuses. Otto's story highlights a sobering truth. In some countries, especially isolated ones, foreign visitors have no legal protections. A trivial act, or even a misunderstanding, can be treated as a grave crime. Today, the US strongly advises against travel to North Korea, yet some still go, drawn by curiosity. Otto's case stands as a warning. The stakes are higher than they truly seem. This was the story of Otto Warmbier, a promising young man whose adventure turned into a nightmare. Otto's story serves as a cautionary tale about the real dangers behind the world's most secretive borders. Thank you for watching Nightmare Situations. If you find this video informative, please like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you more real-life stories. And remember, sometimes reality is scarier than any nightmare.